Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. President Trump, according to Professor Northrup, I'll give you his name exactly, Helmut Norpoth. So Professor Helmut Norpoth is in the news again, and 91% chance of winning. Stony Brook Professor Norpoth, his model says Trump has a 91% chance of winning. Norpoth created the model in 1996 and has correctly predicted 5 of 6 presidential elections since then, including Trump winning in 2016. He said the model would have been able to determine 25 of the 27 elections since 1912, when primaries began. Norpoth said the model uses information from early presidential nominating contests and the enthusiasm each candidate receives early in the nominating process. He also said Trump will receive more electoral college votes than he did in 2016, from 304 to 362. Now, when you add, and I'm trying to tell everybody how important it is that Kanye West is running, because he also gets Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, hello. To my 2 great moderators, thank you. Eric H526 and Luke St. Martin, thank you. But I've been trying to tell everyone, and to my super chat, if you support my voice, I just appreciate it greatly. And you help me do these live streams, and you help me run my 2 channels, H.A. Goodman and H.A. Goodman's other channel. But I'm trying to tell everybody, we're going to hear Professor Norpoth right now. It's AM 560, Chicago's Morning Answer. We're going to hear a little bit of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson interviewing Professor Norpoth. But I'm trying to tell everyone, Kanye West running, it's pretty unbelievable how they don't realize how important that is. So Stony Brook Professor has predicted 5 of 6 presidential elections since 1996. The only one he didn't predict, I believe, was 2000. But that was, a very bizarre election. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to go down. It's going to happen. But you have to understand, I keep stressing, November 3rd is not only November 3rd is when Trump wins. November 4th is when Democrats realize that Trump won, which will be amazing. But let's listen to Professor Norpoth right here, and you'll get a chance to listen to him. It's pretty awesome. All right, let's listen right here.
The primary model makes assessments on electoral outcomes, particularly for the president. His primary model gives President Donald Trump a 91% chance of winning re-election on November 3rd. 91% chance.
That's
So 91% chance, and all we hear from Democrats is, oh my goodness, he's 15 points down. Well, first of all, that's absurd. He's not 15 points down nationally. I don't care. I don't know what country you're looking at, because most people don't look at the news and say, gosh, there's chaos and mayhem and buildings are in flames and let's defund law enforcement. That's why you have the far left saying we should, and you have Biden saying, well, I didn't say that, and you have Chris Wallace saying, oh, Mr. President, I can't find anywhere where Biden says defund the police. So they're all over the place. They twist themselves into pretzels all the time. Jim, thank you. But here, listen to this. This is really interesting. Helmut Norpoth is the man.
Those are some good odds.
Specifically, Trump gets 362 electoral votes to Biden's 176 in Professor Norpoth.
First of all, it ain't going to be Biden. It's going to be Clinton. And Professor Norpoth will still give Trump the win, but I think that Clinton will do better in terms of the Electoral College. So let's listen to this really quick.
Gets 362 electoral votes to Biden's 176.
362 to 176. So 362 people to 176. Could you imagine if President Trump gets 362 Electoral College votes to Clinton's 176? The only what I'm trying to say, though, is the way to save face is the popular vote. What they'll say is, well, we won the popular vote again. Well, the media, you've never had a more negative, apoplectic, fanatical media. They're basically, this is not hyperbole. They are an extension of the Democratic Party. This is not hyperbole at all. The headlines that are written are like, it's unbelievable. I mean, you couldn't, if Debbie Wasserman Schultz were writing the headlines, she would probably be a little bit more objective. But here.
In Professor Norpoth's model now, it is worth noting that 91%, that's about his success rate, his win percentage since 1912. I think he's predicted 30 of the 32 presidential victors since 1912, based on his modeling. Pretty accurate. So let's understand the model to understand how much faith we should place in it. Professor Helmut Norpoth, Professor Poli-Sci at Stony Brook U, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm sure you're not popular in certain sets, but we certainly are interested in the methodology that you've used to be so accurate when it comes to predicting presidential outcomes, including your projection for Trump-Biden in November. So explain.
You're right. I mean, I feel a little bit like a lone wolf was my prediction. But of course, that was the same thing in 4 years ago when. Just about, the same situation prevailed. Very few people gave Donald Trump a chance, and I was predicting that he would win with it.
So NPR quoted me, and within the same paragraph, 538 said Trump wouldn't be GOP nominee. The article, the link is below, in the pinned comment. NPR quoted me. I said Clinton would lose swing states, and I said Trump would defeat Clinton. Now. Nobody was saying that on the left. On the left, nobody was saying that. The left runs on every argument Democrats make is an appeal to authority. It's not anything to do with basic logic. Nobody says, well, Trump's going to win because. Or no, they never say, well, it's going to be Hillary Clinton, but they never say Biden's going to win because he's so loved. He's beloved. He's enthused. People love him. Have you heard that ever? Have you ever heard people say, oh, I love Biden? I've heard many people say I love Trump. I've said I love Trump. I think he's fantastic. I think he's a great president. Any president that brings home Americans from never-ending counterinsurgency conflict is a great president. And that's what he's doing. Signing a deal in late February, early March to bring home Americans. That's any president that does that, any president that reverses 20 years of failed foreign policy interventions is a great president. Any president that steps foot in North Korea, begins détente between North and South Korea, the first president to do that. Great, very good president. But, I mean, has anybody said, I'm voting for Biden because, first of all, it ain't going to be Biden, it's going to be Hillary Clinton. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. But has anyone ever said, I'm voting for Hillary Clinton or I'm voting for Biden because they inspire me? Because because Biden is so articulate? Because he's so handsome? Because he's so personable? Because he's so charismatic? Because he's done so many good things for people? Because he has a track record. I want Biden as commander-in-chief because he really knows what he's doing every moment of the day. Does anyone say this? No. No one says this. All they say is, well, Biden's up by 15 points. Biden's up by 15 points. They're like little lemmings. They're like zombies. They're public relations zombies. Biden's up by 15 points. Says, based on what? The latest poll. Fried Cash! Thank you, Fried Cash, thank you. Thank you, Fried Cash, thank you. But here, let's listen. Oh, Lord.
At this time or earlier. But as you mentioned, this is a model, and the devil is in the primaries. The primaries, testing presidential candidates, and especially the early ones, New Hampshire in particular, the first one. And as a lot of people may have forgotten, Joe Biden came in fifth.
So basically, before he continues, I'll kind of give you like a overview. Professor Norpoth, Helmut Norpoth's model is based on enthusiasm within primaries, basically enthusiasm among voters. Now, Democrats say, well, enthusiasm doesn't matter. Yes, it does. That's because Biden has no enthusiasm and Trump has a tremendous amount. But Biden came in fifth, and then in Iowa he didn't do well at all. In New Hampshire he didn't do well. Nevada he didn't do well, and then South Carolina came. The only reason he won was because of South Carolina and then southern states. Notice how they don't have a popular vote in the primary. Notice how they keep on saying, "Oh, well, we don't like the Christopher." Well, the bobbleheads returned for the election night. Oh my God. I found if you could believe this, a Hellraiser bobblehead. It's fantastic, but I don't know where to like put it, but it's awesome. Christopher, thank you. Christopher, thank you so very, very much. Jub, 8891. Hi, HA. Your announcement of Trump's 2016 win was one of the most memorable moments in YouTube history. Thank you so very much. I was neither side until Syria, which oddly is virtually gone from the news cycle today. Exactly. Thank you so very, very much. I really appreciate Jub 891. It's really awesome to know that people remember, when I first started the channel 4 years ago, and kind of. Because we were all in this together, like, I remember being a Bernie Sanders supporter, but wondering, like, wait a second, is it me? Like, I want to fight. Like, Bernie's not fighting, and what's going on? And I want somebody to bring home Americans and to end these counterinsurgency conflicts, and I want somebody to really change the system, which President Trump is doing. Jub 8891, greatly appreciated. I'm saving that comment, and I really appreciate your kind words. Thank you very, very much. It means a lot to me. Your kind words mean a great deal to me. Thank you. Jub 8891, have a great weekend, and thank you so much. Thanks for watching for so long. Climb BMX! 2015, Donald Trump's campaign was unlawfully surveilled by falsifying FBI warrants repeatedly. HRC will be the DNC candidate. Exactly. Climb BMX to my Canadian viewers. Thank you. But it's really interesting. Climb BMX and Christopher and Jub 8891. It's really interesting because it's so simple. This model is so simple yet pretty accurate. I mean, when you think about it, it's not rocket science. This professor is able to predict the winner. I knew President Obama would win over Clinton. This was a long time ago, no 08. Dean Diefendorf. We need to see progress. They said to trust Sessions. We did. Dean, I never trusted well, for a second I did, but not because of the just because I was like, okay, he can't be that bad, but not because of the message board or anything, but which I'm 100% against. But Dean, I agree with you. Dean Diefendorf, thank you so very much as always. Dean, the future of the Durham probe, even Clinton campaign officials, former and current, but they're basically saying, yeah, Durham might do something before, and it might be an October surprise, and all this stuff. So, Dean Diefendorf, John Durham's almost certainly going to wait until after the election when Trump wins. Unfortunately, Climb, BMX, and Jub 8891 and Dean Diefendorf, Trump needs the media, some kind of media support. Shungu Patsika! Hiding Joe Biden 2020. Where's Sleepy Joe? Well, Where is he? Where is he? He's in his basement. Where is he? Hey, Savannah, come on now. Come on, you know the deal, man. You know the deal. I'm in my basement, man. Come on now. Shungu Patsika! Where is he? He's in his house. That's all. That's where he is. He's probably watching TV. He's probably has an iced tea. Maybe a martini. Shungu is probably living a very good life, God bless him, knowing that he's going to be replaced in about a month. What does he do every day? Probably he's home. Probably watching TV with a martini. And, they're doing 24-hour Botox injections and makeup on him. The CGI graphics on his latest advertising, I mean, he has no wrinkles. I look like Rip Van Winkle compared to him. Valerie Rogers, silent majority speak on election night. They will. Fried cash, Durham. Yes. But this is interesting. Let's listen to this. It's a very simple model that is basically like, well, what's Trump's support in the Republican Party, and what's Clinton's support within the Democratic Party? Now, Clinton has a much higher support than Biden within her party, so she'll get more Electoral College votes, or she could possibly get the popular vote. But let's continue.
In that primary in single digits, Donald Trump got about 85% and would repeat that in several other primaries after that. Now, Biden did better in the state of South Carolina with the help of African Americans. That's true, but just on balance, I think you could say that Donald Trump clearly has the stronger performance in the primaries, and if you combine that with being a first-term president running for re-election and having essentially no major opposition, a candidate like that has never lost.
Yeah, but President Trump really didn't have much competition as opposed to Biden, who had, a number of people who were vying for the spot.
Yeah, but the number of people were Eric Swalwell, whoever smelt it dealt it, Swalwell, and then de Blasio, who nobody likes in New York, and then Kirsten Gillibrand and Amy Klobuchar, who if they sat next to you while you were eating once restaurants open up again, depending on your state, you wouldn't know who they were. And Bernie Sanders, who they despise with a vengeance. One person said that she despised Bernie Sanders with the strength, with the heat of 1,000 suns, something like that. So, and the media propped up every Democratic candidate. The media is trying to tear down Trump for every day for 4 years. They've been trying to tear down Trump.
It's a feature. So that's a feature, not a bug, is what the professor's saying.
But that's true. But if you compare that to some presidents who did have opposition, it's not a sure thing that a president doesn't have opposition. If you take, for example, Bush the Elder in '92, he had opposition in New Hampshire from Pat Buchanan. It took about close to 40%. And that was a very bad sign for Bush, who lost in the end. Carter in 1980, very similar situation. It isn't necessarily true that every sitting president goes through the season unopposed. And yes, Biden had a lot of opposition, but to come in that low is very unusual. I don't know of any candidate who has finished that low in New Hampshire who sort of made it in the end.
That's because the Democratic Party is a facade and a charade, and they're going to go with Hillary Clinton. I will have made the biggest political call of all time, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to go with Clinton. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how they're going to transfer the nomination, but they will. And it will be marketed as, my God, who could predict this? And I'm telling you, whatever happens, it's already predetermined. Even look, if you elevate somebody with, potential, if you elevate somebody with potential, God forbid, health issues, and then a heaven forbid health issue arises, it's not so much, oh my God, how can anyone see this? If you put Joe Biden in as starting quarterback, and then the first play of the game, he, doesn't make it out of the first play of the game. Well, you put Joe Biden as starting quarterback, so that's probably your first mistake. You're not putting somebody durable in the starting lineup. Okay? If you have somebody that had an ACL tear, you don't want them at running back or cornerback or, immediately after the surgery. Why would you do that? Then when they re-injure themselves on the first play, and you say, "Well, who could have predicted this?" Well, why did you even do this? Why on earth did you put somebody that you knew was a person who is rehabilitating their knee? So you can't say that, I had no clue that the running back or the quarterback wouldn't be able to last more than a play or two plays. You knew very well they're rehabilitating an ACL surgery. Why are you doing this? Oh, that's right, you're the Democratic Party.
So explain the using primary results as the basis to make these predictions, because that's sort of interesting. I mean,
it's just enthusiasm. It's what I've been saying for 4 years. It's just enthusiasm. The man is a brilliant man, Helmut Norpoth, but it's kind of like he's able to look and he basically says, "Oh, well, you have the champion or the nominee or the person that's elected in one party, and then their competitor, and how enthusiastic or how beloved or how charismatic or how interested are voters in voting for this person." And the primary is an example. Trump had zero opposition because he has like 90+% approval. Biden, nobody likes Biden, nobody cares about Biden, and he ain't going to be nominee. It's going to be Hillary Clinton. She can actually win if President Trump inflicts any self-induced problems. But if he doesn't mess with Twitter and he just calms down on do not retweet anything, because then, oh my God, the person he retweeted had a DUI, and the person he retweated's proctologist's neighbor was a Russian spy, and oh my God, Trump retweeted him, and it's a big problem, and Trump is a Russian spy. Pass it on. So, I mean, that's the issue. The issue is you have a situation where it's pretty much President Trump versus himself, because he has the enthusiasm, he has the momentum, he has all the support that he needs. J-Spot J, do you think that Biden will know what is going on? I don't think so. J-Spot J, thank you. Thank you, Donnie Chappelle. It's going to be a landslide for President Trump. I hope so. I think that it's going to be, Donnie, I think it's going to be a monumental, it'll be a decisive victory. I hope landslide. But if he wins Minnesota, I think that'll be phenomenal, because, Donnie, if he wins Minnesota, and I think he will, he doesn't need Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. If everything remains the same and he doesn't get Nevada, and he just gets Ohio and Florida and everything else, he could actually lose Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and if he wins Minnesota, still become president. Donnie Chappelle, thank you so very much, Donnie. Thank you. Thank you for your support. I think that he's going to win one or all of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. I don't think that Democrats and media understand the support that President Trump has throughout the country. And Professor Norpoth, 91% chance, pretty high. I don't. The only chance that he has is Clinton. Clinton could become president if he, like I said, retweets something he shouldn't. But other than that, Donnie Chappelle, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a decisive victory. I think it'll be a decisive victory. And also, Donnie and everybody here, the popular vote is you can win the Super Bowl by 3 points or by 2 points. Or you can win the Super Bowl by 7 touchdowns. If you win the Super Bowl by 3 points, you've won the Super Bowl. That's great. Okay? But you're not the 85 Bears. Okay, so if you win the Super Bowl by 2 points with a last-second field goal, that's stunning, thrilling. But when I look at the New York Giants in 1990 and the Bills, I said, look, you know what? Look, it happens. It wasn't a close field goal. It was a very difficult field goal, and but you always say, old school dad, man. Only Trump could beat Trump. Exactly. You always say, like, you know what? That Super Bowl was pretty close. I mean, the Bills could have won it. Okay, you don't say, oh, the Patriots could have beaten the Bears. That never happens. No one ever says, oh, in 85, the Bears almost lost the Super Bowl. No, it was. They're one of the best teams of all time. So, I think that President Trump is going to be the 85 Bears this election. Donnie Chappelle. I don't think Democrats will come close. I don't think they come close. But and that's the thing. Like, Scott Norwood missed a 47-yard field goal. That is not an easy field goal to make. 47-yard field goals. It's not like, I mean, I felt so bad for him because it's not like it's an easy field goal to make. You know, that's a tough field goal. That's a long way. That's a long way away. You know? That's a long way. So I think that people like, you could see the 50-yard line when he's, like, gearing up for the... So people don't really... I don't think they appreciate, how far that field goal... 47 yards is not... Even today's game, too. It's not a done deal. Exactly. I'm looking at one of the... 47 yards is no gimme. It's true. But anyway... do you want to be the Chicago Bears or, Bernie 20? Sandiford! Biden 2020 is the Browns of any year, really. Not the Jim Brown years, because they were winning championships in the early 60s and 50s, late 50s. But thank you. Thank you, Sandiford. So Donnie Chappelle, I think that's going to be the case. I think that you have to... They don't have a plan B for when they lose. And I'm the only person talking about Kanye West being an enormous factor. I'm telling you, he's going to be Putin 2.0. They're going to say that Kanye West was Putin 2.0. I'm telling you this. I'm telling you. But so let's listen to Donnie. Thank you again. Oh Lord.
Primary results, because they're so anomalous. Sometimes there's sometimes there's limited competition. Sometimes there's significant competition, as you were just describing. Sometimes there's no competition on one side and a lot of competition on the other. And so with all those variables, why don't we just look at this and say, well, it's interesting how accurate Professor Norpoth has been, but I mean, you can flip a coin. 30 times, and you could potentially you could have heads come up 28 times. So it's just he's just throwing darts at a board here.
No, you're not going to have heads come up 28 times. That's not going to happen. And if that takes place, you have a coin that's been messed with.
You know what the chance of that is? It's probably 1 in a trillion.
Okay.
you don't get 20 out of 30 by chance. Let me just say one thing about the competition in primary. New Hampshire is always competitive. You always have competition, even in the party of the president. And there was a guy, Bill Weld, who is a pretty big name. Was a governor of Massachusetts, and he ran in 2016 on the Libertarian line as a VP. So he wasn't nobody. And for him to only get about like 10%, and Trump ending up with 85 is a big deal. And if you look at sitting presidents doing how they do in New Hampshire, Trump is really above a lot of other sitting presidents like Obama, like Bush, like Clinton, and et cetera. So he did something more than just normal sitting presidents do. And Biden, on the other hand, did something abnormally bad in that state.
So is this a
So the fact that there is no competition, and the fact that Trump, trounced the competition. Jimbo! Only HRC could win 30. Pretty much. But that's completely fair, Jimbo, that to even insinuate that any problem occurred with the 30 straight, because, Bernie won 27 straight, so it's all relative. Jimbo, thank you so very, very much.
Proxy for the level of base intensity, the level of party support for a presidential candidate? Is that what this is a proxy for?
Well, it's part of it, but you see, New Hampshire is a very interesting case, and that's why I think New Hampshire is so telling. New Hampshire, for all practical purposes, is an open primary. You don't have to be a Republican to vote in the Republican primary in New Hampshire. Independents can always vote in it. They're about half of the electorate. Plus, if you are, let's say, a Democrat and you had interest in voting in the Republican primary, you could change on election day. So, and the turnout is extremely high. It's one of the highest in primaries, maybe even the highest, on a par with the general election. The only drawback, let's say, New Hampshire is a pretty homogeneous white state. It doesn't have very few Black Americans, and therefore I have for quite a while now added South Carolina as sort of to balance that lag, especially for Democrats. You saw it with Hillary Clinton in 2016. You saw it with Obama in 2008, and Clinton already earlier in 92. So with that sort of amendment, I think you get a pretty good idea from primaries early on about how strong a candidate is, and that kind of a strength, which goes beyond the base. I think. I mean, this is not just the pure partisan base that you would get in let's say, a closed primary. Like I think Chicago probably has a closed primary. I would think.
Yes.
New York has one, and quite a few states have that.
So what he's saying also is like basically Trump does well in every state. For Republicans are going to vote for Trump in every state by a wide margin. Democrats are not going to vote for Biden in the same with the same enthusiasm in every state, and they're not going to even vote for Biden. Biden isn't even going to be the nominee. It's going to be Clinton, and that remains true also. Well, actually, Clinton has a much better. Clinton will have more turnout. They're going to go with Hillary Clinton, but Democrats don't have a message, a national message. President Trump does. President Trump has a regional message too, especially to the Midwest. When it comes to the economy, the trade deficit with China, the $400 billion trade deficit with China. You have articles, well, the tariffs aren't working. Well, they're not necessarily an immediate, they're a short-term tactic that doesn't necessarily mean that you want an immediate positive economic outcome. You're doing it to let the other country know that you will not accept their unfair trade practices or that you will retaliate. This also, unions begged President Obama to implement tariffs, and he did also, just not as wide-ranging. Okay, in Europe, the unions begged the EU to implement tariffs against China. Okay, only President Trump has implemented such wide-ranging tariffs. But see, the Democrats don't get, they have no clue. They have zero clue why. And Biden, who won't be nominee, said, oh yeah, coal miners in Pennsylvania have to learn to code. So there you go. I mean, they're not ready, people. This channel will not only do well up until the election, because when things heat up, this channel will do quite well. And so will H.A. Goodman's other channel, and then I'll have my website up by then. Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead if you want to be part of a newsletter. It's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. So you can be part of a newsletter. But really, when President Trump wins, that's when the channel should really do well. And my other channel, H.A. Goodman's other channel, that's when the channel really should do well. Because I'm the only person in YouTube talking about November 4th. November 4th is important. Fried cash! How about the Catholic vote with the church attacks? Not cool what's going on. No, it's horrendous. I believe the Catholic vote always... Well, let's see. I think it's split between Democrat and Republican. Maybe Democrat more. Let me see. Okay, so November. Okay, so Pew Research. It was 45-52 Trump. So 52% of Catholic voters voted for President Trump. 52% of Catholic voters. 58% of Protestant voters. Around 25% of Jewish voters voted for Trump. That's going to be a lot more this time around. A lot more. Evangelical voters, 81% Trump, 16% Clinton. They keep on, Democrats also, Mormon voters, 61%, 61% Trump, 25% Clinton. They keep on saying, like the left is like they're like obsessed with evangelical Christian voters. They keep on saying, oh, you see, Trump is losing, so fried cash. They keep on saying, Trump is losing evangelicals. Yeah, to who? Clinton? Who, if she held on to a Bible too long, it would, like, spark into flames? I don't think so. I don't think evangelical voters are ever voting for Democrats. And then they keep on doing this like, oh, well, Eric, Luke St. Martin, thank you. Eric H526. It's unbelievable that, like, Democrats, they have no clue as to why. So fried cash, they have no clue as to why evangelical voters would vote for Trump. They have no clue as to why Midwestern voters would vote for Trump. They have no clue as to why 15% of black men voted for Trump. They have no clue as to why 30% of Latino and Hispanic Americans voted for Trump. They have no clue as to why anyone votes for Trump. They don't know. They don't know. They have no clue. They don't know why anyone votes for President Trump. Do you understand? They think it's like some kind of like, what was that? Like it turns you into a zombie. What was that movie? Like when they bite you They think it's like this like kind of outbreak of like this, disease, the Trump disease. It's basically you turn orange. Your hair turns orange and your body turns orange and then you vote for Trump. But they don't understand. They don't even care to understand also. That's another thing. It's one thing if they were like ignorant, but they're also like they don't care at all. So the ignorance is not like followed with, gee, let's find out. It's like, well, who cares? They're all, the Trump supporters are all like lost souls anyway, all 63 million of them.
I would say, I mean, it has some information beyond just the base.
And so I don't know where I got 30 of 30.
No, Fried Cash, I agree with you. The attacks and the vandalism is absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And notice that media doesn't pay any attention to it. It's unbelievable. Fried Cash, I agree with you 100%.
Too, but I counted in my head. It's 25 of 27. You've been right since
25,
1912.
27. Yeah, I was going to say that. I was going to take credit for 30 yet.
Yeah, I'm right. So I'm making my own model, my own projections about your accuracy. So the two that you got wrong, explain those.
Oh, well, I mean, the most recent one was 2000, and I think we all remember that in that election, all came down to one state, Florida, and sort of the oddities of the vote count and the ballots that they had, and
didn't anticipate the ballot ballot.
The butterfly ballot,
The
in
hanging
particular.
chads.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you predicted Al Gore back then?
I predicted Al Gore, yes, and I predicted Kennedy in 1960, and you're from Chicago, right?
Yes.
You're from Illinois.
How could you not factor in Richie
There's
Daley?
some rumors about what happened during that election in your state in Texas. So, so maybe, but I don't want to push that point too much.
But I mean,
these are the two.
But when you go, I mean, you're right. The hanging chads and the.
So he's pretty accurate. Basically, 2000, didn't happen, but every other election happened that he predicted. So, I mean, they really don't have. Well, with Kanye West, it's not about it wouldn't be the issue if Kanye is pro-life. That I don't think that's going to. I think that his celebrity and his music and his impact on people's lives will almost overshadow that. A lot of, I don't think that he wants to. That's also the thing. I don't think he's going to craft a message saying he wants to ban anything. So with that being a little bit more nuanced on his, if he crafts a more nuanced message, then But I was answering somebody's question in the chat. Okay.
The Daily Machine notwithstanding, do you glean anything from those incorrect predictions about the model or some variable that needs to be considered?
No, I don't. I mean, I could easily see that 2000 could have gone to Gore. I mean, it hung in the balance, I mean, for weeks, and then could have gone. And in 1960, maybe a little bit less likely, but in those days, I mean, we didn't have these kind of challenges and recounts, et cetera. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, I can live with one or two out of 27.
Sure, to show you're human.
Would be suspicious if I had everything right, and people say, oh, he's cooking the books.
Right, yeah, you're on performance-enhancing drugs or something. So, what about, so on this primary model, it's all based on those early states, or do you go back and you say, I'm looking state by state, so Trump's going to win Wisconsin again based on the respective primary performances. He's going to win Michigan again. It's just based on the early states.
No, I don't do my electoral vote prediction sort of state by state. It's a national number. It's sort of tracking that number for elections since 1912. So it's predicting what the total number will be, And I was glad to learn from somebody who figured out that, in fact, that the number I predict is actually a real number. You could get that number from various states. I don't do it this way. And, of course, it's a very tall order. I mean,
So, Lakiva, suppressing my comment. Lakiva, I do appreciate your support greatly. Thank you so very much. The YouTube guidelines, there are a lot of things you can't say, and there are a lot of words that can't be used. So, but I do appreciate, Lakiva, your support greatly. I'm like, as people here can see, I even sometimes, rarely, have to delete a comment just because I don't want it to be, against any YouTube regulation, which is very, very, there's just a limit as to, on H.A. Goodwin's other channel, I actually talk about things I don't talk about here, but Lakiva! Thank you very much, Lakiva. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. Let's continue.
It means he would add quite a few states to what he did 4 years ago. That might be a little unlikely. So, I mean, that's sort of pushing a little bit. But definitely it's going to be above 270, and I think the chance is very high that this will happen.
Wow, you might be President Trump's favorite academic when he learns of this prediction, if he hasn't already.
So if this man predicts President Trump with a model twice, that model will be the only model. First of all, it's already been accurate in pretty much every election since 1960, aside from one. So it's a pretty accurate model. I'm telling you that I don't have a model to predict that Biden's going to be replaced. I have basic common sense and an understanding of Clinton in terms of a personality and emotional profile of somebody that will never give up, ever. There are people who would say, "Oh my goodness, I'm done with this." That's not. Clinton will never give up, ever. So she'll run again in 2024. And it's a political machine also. So you're talking about a political machine. This is Tammany Hall all over again. So you're talking about a political machine like Tammany Hall. I'm typing and I'm still with her. Let's see what they have to say. I'm telling you, people, the I'm still with her crowd is every single day. I'm telling you, they're ready. There are more I'm still with her comments now than there ever were. And I'm talking about within the past hour, 6 hours, 7 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours, day, 2 days, 3 days. I'm talking about people are still saying I'm still with her. And it's not just for Clinton's profile page. It's they are it's going to happen again. And then when Clinton loses, they say, look, it'll be Kanye West. And what they'll say is, you should be ashamed, not Clinton. You should be ashamed you elected Trump twice. The narcissism is that great. Pat, thank you. Thank you, Pat. Thank you very much. So the narcissism is that great. Anthony, I think I'm going to stay away from, the social media. But the narcissism is that great. And I mean, you look at, they're not running on anything. They're running on Trump is horrible. Trump is a madman. Trump is this. Trump is that. they don't have a message. So, Helmut Norpoth is his primary model, or his electoral, his general election model. That's going to be very accurate. President Trump's going to win. They don't have, and this is why I find it so interesting, ladies and gentlemen. I find this election so interesting because they do not have people. They don't have a plan for November 4th. What are they going to say? What are they going to say on November 4th? What are they going to say? They spent the past 4 years saying that he worked with Russia. He never worked with Russia. It's been completely debunked. The whole thing was absurd to begin with. They say that he withheld military assistance to go after Biden. No, he didn't. He didn't withhold any military assistance. They got the military assistance to begin with. So, and President Zelensky and President Poroshenko said there was no pressure anyway. And he could do what he wants to do. Not against the people. Presidents always base part of their decision on politics anyway. What president has not? But he didn't, because there's no need. The notion that he would go after Biden because he wanted to interfere in the election is absurd. If Biden deserved to be investigated, then he deserved to be investigated. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. But Silver Sword, I think Kanye West, if and when, I believe he's going to get on California and New York, could get at least 6-7 million votes. At least. He'll get more than the 4.5 million that the Libertarian Party got. He'll get more than the 4.5, and Democrats will have no rebuttal to that. They oh my God, he's such a narcissist. Well, why? What's the problem? You mean he can't run? Why? Because it hurts Democrats' chances. So what? So what if it hurts Democrats' chances? So what? You would definitely, if there was somebody who would take votes away from Trump, they would help that person. With everything they have. You think if Justin Amash could take 5-6 million votes for Trump running as an independent, let's say he had 5-6 million votes to take, you don't think they would be championing him? My God almighty, he would be the most important, Republican of all time since Lincoln. So, Kanye is going to hurt the Democrats. Why? You didn't craft a message for 4 years. You were just focusing on Russia. You're focusing on your fantasies, saying that Trump worked with Russia because of Facebook ads that nobody saw. Too bad. You're going to lose. They don't have a plan. That's what I'm trying to tell people, ladies and gentlemen. They don't have a plan. What is their plan? They don't have a plan for November 4th. And you go into 2021 with John Durham? Tell me what James Comey is going to do with John Durham. Tell me what Clapper and Brennan and Strzok and McCabe and Kleinsmith and all these people, what's going to happen? You think that John Durham is not going to look at everything they did, this time with a mandate, with a 2-term president? Where President Trump, what is he going to do? They're going to impeach him again in the second term? Who cares? Who cares? He has a mandate if he goes 2 terms, and the mandate is not just generally you'll have a mandate if you win an election, generally. But if you go 2 terms, that is even more of especially in this day and age where every victory, every political, every day is seen as its own universe. In the age of social media, every single day is seen as a like a theatrical drama. social media has amplified every single political story to the most absurd levels. So you have even gossip and hearsay. Like they only have gossip, and Trump didn't break into the Watergate building. He didn't get us into like Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. He didn't get us into never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. Like there's the only thing they have, the only possible thing they have with Trump, the only possible thing they have is the notion that the only possible thing that they have is that he worked with Russia or that he withheld military assistance. These are like, this is gossip. This is hearsay. This is nonsense. This is not like, these aren't important issues. It's not national security. Facebook ads are not national security. They wouldn't view it as national security if it were about, they would not view it as national security if it were about, if it was about the Democratic Party, they wouldn't view it to be national security. I mean, if it was about the Republican Party, they would say, "Oh, that's too bad." Get a antivirus software, something. What do you want? What do you want from us? Oh, you want the intelligence community to go to bat for you? Nah, come on now, get real. They wouldn't say that. They wouldn't say that. So, but you got Hillary waiting. You got Hillary waiting. And it's going to be, honestly, it'll be the biggest. I don't want to pat myself on the back, but it'll be the biggest political call of all time. People say, "Oh my God, what if it doesn't happen?" Well, they'll have to deal with Biden losing by a landslide. So I'm in terms of the future of politics, my voice is in a pretty good shape. We're going to look back at this, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be like one of the only, if not the only voice telling everybody this makes no sense. People are going to look back and say, well, of course Biden had no chance. But people actually think now that he has a chance. Biden's doing worse than Clinton among black and Hispanic voters. So you tell me how they're not going to last second or next week or whenever switch from Biden to Clinton. Biden looks and acts like an exhumed body. Fried cash! You can't attack churches, police, and small business owners and expect to win in 2020. People know that. People know people. Fried cash, exactly. And Democrats, I don't understand. I swear to God, fried cash, I don't understand. Like, what do they keep on saying? They keep on talking about, oh, this voting base might, it doesn't like Trump, and this voting base is like, nobody. See, Democrats are the real racists here. There's no demographic that likes chaos, mayhem, or churches being vandalized. Nobody likes this. Nobody votes for it. People are repulsed by it. So obviously, all of this serves to elect Trump. I don't think they get this. Their vantage point is, look at all the chaos. Look at all the chaos. And it's all Trump's fault. It's like, no, people don't see it that way. They say, okay, I want some kind of law and order semblance of normality. And they're going to gravitate towards Trump. So, fried cash, I agree with you. Lakiva! Do you think the populist demand for the Republican Party to adjust accordingly will transfer the GOP away from culture of ruling D.C.? Will they resist successfully? Lakiva, I think that the populist demand for the Republican Party to adjust will transform the GOP. I think that the Republican Party has already been transformed. You're never going to have a nominee like Romney or McCain or Rubio or Ted Cruz. You're going to have a populist message. You're going to have to have a message by somebody willing to impose tariffs and bring home Americans. And if you don't have that type of nominee, you ain't gonna become Republican nominee. And I'm telling you, if Kanye West creates more of a conservative platform, he can become the Republican nominee. I'm telling you, people, when Clinton becomes nominee, like, people will see what I'm talking about. Lakiva, I think that, I think where you're going is where the GOP is. Yes, I do believe that the populist messages have transformed the Republican Party. They haven't with the Democratic Party at all, but Jimbo Biden has a 15-point lead on the other Biden. Mr. Mandela, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I'll be here at around 11 p.m., people. Thank you so very much, everyone. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. I have a great segment. And ladies and gentlemen, God bless to my super chat. Thank you. People, be here in about 2 hours. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you very, very, very much. To my super chat, thank you, everyone. Thanks so much. If you want to be part of a newsletter, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. Email me. And people, have a great, great Saturday evening. I'll be back at 11 p.m. Pacific. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.